Most people think that having an iPhone 6 instead of an iPhone 5 is progress. Most of us think that if you drive a new car instead of your old car, then it's progress. Most of us think that having a new computer replacing your old computer is progress. And we have to check this thought and this notion that possessing better technology is progress. Because certainly your new car will have more features and will be technologically more advanced than your old car. The iPhone 6 should be more technologically advanced than the iPhone 5, otherwise there is no reason to stop producing the iPhone 5 and start producing a new model, and there would be no reason to replace your old iPhone with a new iPhone. So in this sense, there is certainly progress. iPhone has progressed. The technology behind making iPhones, behind making your cellular phones, has progressed. The technology behind making cars has progressed. And you can use this line of thought to most of the technology we are surrounded with. You even have better chairs today than you had before. You have better kitchen equipment than you had before. Everything is progressing, everything is more technologically advanced. So if we define progress as having more intricate, more sophisticated technology that can perform better than the old technology, then certainly we can think and we can believe that we are in a state of progress. Because if we compare our computers, our cell phones, our cars, and most everything that we have with what we had years ago, or certainly if we compare it with what our parents had or our grandparents had, then the technology that we possess has progressed. Weapons have progressed. If you take the bow and arrow, and then the gun, and then the warplanes, and the nuclear missiles, and all the technology I'm not really aware of that the army has, there is a sure line of progress between the bow and arrow and the nuclear missile in terms of the technology that is involved. And of course in terms of how many people can it kill, because the bow and arrow at best could kill one person, and the nuclear missile probably can destroy a whole city of millions. So if we define progress as developments in technology, then we can be happy to know that we are in a constant state of progress. Are there any other lines of progress? Are there any other routes of progress that we are missing? For example, has the human body progressed? We progressed physically from what we were 500,000, 10,000, 20,000 years ago. According to most research, the answer is the opposite. Physically, we have not progressed. The average modern man is weaker, slower, and less flexible than the man or woman that existed 20,000 years ago and even 1,000 years ago. So our bodies have not progressed. We are weaker. We cannot perform the same tasks as the people who have lived many years ago. We get tired more easily. We have back problems. We have shoulder problems, breathing problems, and all kinds of problems. For example, obesity, a physical phenomena that has not existed before and is a modern phenomena. Can we call it progress? We are much less active physically. We are much less developed physically in average than we were before. Think of all the people who do yoga, who go to the gym. Many years ago this was not necessary. We have created the necessity for us to constantly think about improving our physical abilities because they deteriorated so much. So if we think of progress as human physical development, then certainly we have not progressed. The most interesting aspect is the mental, spiritual, intellectual aspect of progress. Certainly, most people today have a better scientific understanding of how the world works than people thousands of years ago or even hundreds of years ago. Most of us know more about the world, the earth is round and revolves around the sun, how rain is produced by the clouds, why is the winter colder than the summer, why do the seasons change. Most people have some idea about these things that is based on science, which has not been the case many years ago when people had other thoughts about these things and thoughts which are scientifically inaccurate. So if you consider progress as scientific knowledge, then certainly we have advanced. And this is of course connected to the developments in technology, because science is behind all technological development. So it shouldn't be surprising that in terms of scientific knowledge we have advanced. But scientific knowledge is not the only knowledge that humans can possess, and this is something that has been really controversial over the last 100 years, because other forms of knowledge have been pushed aside as irrelevant, as primitive, as unnecessary, as plain wrong, all in the benefit of advancing scientific knowledge. For example, knowledge of self, knowledge of who we are, of what our place in the universe is, insights into what exists in ourselves. Can we say that the modern man has better personal insight than people who are either not modern today or every human being, let's say 500-600 years ago, or even 10,000 or 20,000 years ago? And this is hard to prove or check, because we are leaving the scientific field where everything can be proven and scientifically based. The more we concentrate on the outside, on technology, the less we are self-aware. And again, if you think, where do people go to find self-awareness? They don't go to New York City, they don't go to the biggest technological centers and scientific centers. They go to India, they go to China, cultures which are more removed from the Western technological line of development, even though today these cultures are making big steps in that direction of technology. When people go to India to discover themselves, they don't go to the factories and the science laboratories. They go to the ancient ashrams and the ancient knowledge of the Indian, Hindu and Buddhist philosophies. And the same goes for China. People are going to find themselves in the monasteries, in the ideas of Confucius, in Taoism, the Japanese Zen. All these are Eastern philosophies which have taken a different route of development than the Western scientific technological line of development. So if we say, has modern man progressed in terms of knowing himself, of self-insight, self-knowledge, self-awareness, our conclusion must be that we haven't progressed. Not only haven't we progressed, most probably we have gone back, we have deteriorated. If we have to look for the Hindu philosophy to find ourselves, to go to the yogis and the gurus of India and other Eastern traditions, it means that our society is not giving us the tools for self-awareness. So in terms of self-knowledge, we have not developed, we have not progressed. We have changed, most probably for the worse, in terms of knowing ourselves less, being less self-aware, being less insightful. And this has, again, something to do with physical development, which we agreed before that, again, has not gone in the way of progress, because knowing yourself and being physically strong and physically capable is connected. There is a connection between body and the mind and the soul. We have mentioned spiritual progress. Research, scientific research has proven that ancient groups of hunters-gatherers had what we call today democracy of trance. Each member of the group had the ability to bring himself into a state of trance and altered state of consciousness, and they did not even need a witch doctor or what we call a witch doctor or someone to help them do it. Each member of the group was able to connect with other realities and see the world in other ways than is what we consider the normal state of consciousness. Now, you can say this is irrelevant, this is not necessary, this is, gibberish, but then you look at modern society and you look at the number of people who drink alcohol, who take drugs, who do so many things to try to change their state of consciousness. But they can't do it, we can't do it, so we are dependent on outside chemicals to help us reach this state of awareness, while we know that even some societies today, but mostly hunter-gatherer societies from the past, were able to achieve this state of spiritual connection and an altered form of viewing reality by themselves without any outside help. So the need for altering our state of consciousness, achieving a different spiritual condition exists. So we can say that it should exist. If the need exists, that it means it's a necessary thing for humans. But our abilities have deteriorated. So again, in this sense, progress has not happened. On the contrary, we have regressed from what we were before. So to sum up this discussion of progress, we can say that humans have progress in terms of technological development and in terms of the science and the scientific understanding that is behind technological development. We also saw that humans have regressed in terms of our physical body condition, our abilities, our physical capabilities, and in terms of our spiritual abilities, and in terms of our self-knowledge, self-awareness, self-insight. So, if we know now what we have progressed in and what we have regressed in, it is up to us to see what we can do about it. Please leave your comments and thoughts about this topic.